Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Time to see where there is some value in a couple of stocks. A couple of stocks that Tracy Reinick, our value stock analyst, has brought with her today to discuss. First one of which is New Market Corporation, NEU, the ticker symbol. They manufacture chemical additives for petroleum products.
Yes. Yeah, they're interesting because they have two different divisions. They have the fuel additives and then they have the lubricants. The product that they put into the fuel actually makes it clean, a clearer burning. So that's in demand. Their lubricants are in demand because that goes into the machineries, and you have to have the lubricants to run the machineries. I mean, that you can't just stop having the lubricants. They have seen a decline in volume, like everybody. They said it fell off the cliff the first 2 months of this year. But because crude prices also came down, that really helped their operating margins. So they crushed on estimates, basically, even though sales actually came down in both of their divisions.
So is this a green company?
Well, kind of in a strange roundabout way because it does help the fuels burn cleaner. But their numbers are really, really good right now.
Okay.
Because of this, well, okay, so they saw the volumes get crushed down, but they're expecting that to pick up in the second half of the year, mainly because if you're running the machinery, you've burned through all your inventory because you weren't buying anything new, but eventually you have to keep running the machinery and you have to have the lubricants. So they're expecting their volumes to pick up, but their operating margins, given depending on what crude prices do and other prices in that sector, their raw material costs, are still pretty good. So, the estimates are soaring. The stock is soared. Stock is up almost double since its March low, actually. And it's still fairly decently valued here. It's trading a little bit up around 13 times forward earnings, and that's, not too bad given what the stock has done.
So you look for them to be bringing in more green.
Yeah.
Later in the year.
Yeah. And, the estimates have jumped. They just had earnings, so the analysts are kind of getting in there and figuring out what's going on. But the estimates are up for the full year by 20%, which we haven't seen that much of that recently. And for the second quarter, they're up sharply as well. So, yeah, things look pretty good over at New Market right now.
All right. And then you also wanted to call our attention to Dresser Rand Group.
Yes.
Ticker symbol DRC. They are another manufacturer of sorts.
Yes, they make rotating equipment for the oil and gas industries. Another kind of play on that because, I have to have something oil or energy related.
Yes, I do.
Yes. And they also had the same issue with sales were down. They had everything that's been happening in the economy happened to them as well. But their aftermarket business actually picked up. And that's the business where they're actually repairing and helping to maintain the units that they've sold prior, which is the biggest part of their business. So their new unit sales declined, but they're also expecting, for the similar reasons that we just talked about with New Market, is that eventually you do have to buy new units eventually. So they expect that to pick up in the second half of the year to help with the aftermarket sales. So things look pretty good for them too. They also beat by a big margin this last quarter. They're also trading fairly decently valuations around 12 times forward earnings, which isn't altogether expensive. They're a Zacks #1 rank, as well as New Market, actually. I didn't mention that, but so they're both Zacks #1 ranks. Okay. And their chart is interesting because they've also, nearly doubled off their lows. That was a March or a November 21st low. They've had, big surge like everything that we've seen. I seem to say this every week that they up sharply off those November lows. But, given everything that's going on with their business and industry, oil and natural gas, and that is still, still out there drilling and everything that they're doing. So the future looks pretty decent for them right here.
All right. Do you own either of these two?
I do not.
If you would like to see more value stocks that Tracy has written about in the recent past, go to Zacks.com's homepage and click on the most recent headline next to the value category in the upper right-hand corner of our homepage. It'll take you to the most recent story, along with an archive of a few others that Tracy has penned in the recent past. With Tracy Reinick, I'm Terry Ruffalo.